Welcome to another episode of the MMA Lock-Cast. I'm your host, Manpreet, aka MMA Lock of the Night, and your boy on social media at MMALOTN, doing a late night edition of the MMA Lock-Cast because what other way to do it, right? I fucks with the people that fuck with me at night. Maybe not a complete Locky late night episode, but still an episode for you guys to digest in preparation for UFC Vegas 58, headlined by the Battle of the Rafaels. We got Rafael Fiziev, or sorry, I should say Rafael Fiziev and Rafael dos Anjos going up against each other this weekend in a 155-pound bout. Very interested to see how that one goes down, especially considering this is now the third time they have been put together and matched up. Truly appreciate everybody hopping in on this late night stream. Usually don't get a ton of love this period. I don't know what's going on, but I truly appreciate the people that fuck with me on the regular basis. It's a little weird, but it is what it is. I'm glad I'm not sipping the juice or hitting the pen too hard tonight, but yeah, just a lot of things being realized over the last couple weeks, but it is all good. We roll on and keep doing what we do. Appreciate the support as always from everybody. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe below if you haven't already. We're marching back. We're getting back on this heater. Let me just quickly run it for you guys right here. Might as well get right into the betting recap for the last event, which was another winning event since what was it? Since Luque versus Muhammad. That was back in April. I've been on a 20-unit run, just about 20-unit run at this point in time. And yeah, the first half of the year was a little bit rough, or the first quarter of the year has been a little bit rough. Second quarter of the year has been a lot better to me, and I hope to continue to bring that on for the rest of the year. Yeah. So yeah, for the last event, no lock of the night play, but I did have what was that? 2, 4, 5 total plays. Let's go with the L's first. First and foremost was the Uriah Hall fight. I had 1 unit at plus 275 on Hall. I knew he had the submission defense to deal with the jiu-jitsu of Munez. I just wish he had the urgency of getting back to his feet and getting back to his handiwork, just like he did against ACJ. Yeah, I mean, he did give up 10 minutes of control time in the ACJ fight, but he was way more active in terms of dishing out damage, and that's ultimately why he ended up winning that fight. But against Munez, almost had no urgency until the last 10 seconds of the last 2 rounds. Just was not a good look. So minus 1 unit there. And also took a half unit shot on his KO prop at plus 400. So minus 0.5 units there. 1.5 units a loss on that fight in total. But the rest of the night was green, which is why we still ended up with an 85% ROI. We'll start off with the first fight of the night, which was a half unit shot on Stoliarenko by sub at plus 500. I wish I just made that the lock of the night play. You know, I mean, I felt very, very confident in that spot and really felt like Stoliarenko would be able to, get this fight to the ground when she needed to, or if Jessica Rose Clark decided to get the fight to the ground, I knew Stoliarenko would be offensive enough off of her back that Rose Clark just would not be prepared for that. And it looked like Stoliarenko was in the driver's seat from the run, or for the jump, I should say, right? She hit her and rocked her a couple of times, eventually got this fight to the ground and went right for that armbar and got it. So shout out to the people that were backing Stoliarenko that night. She came through pretty fucking heavy. Then we went on to, I did have a parlay, so I'll go over the parlay first. It was a 2-unit parlay at plus 105 on a goes to decision for 2 fights. Usually, if you guys have been following me for a while, you guys know that I like a fight to not go to decisions. I like my violence bets, but I felt pretty damn good about these fights to go to decision, and I felt like I was getting a damn good price to parlay them together. So That's what I did. The first of which was Jessica Aya and Macy Barber. Glad that we got a lot of clinching in that fight, and a lot of there were some close moments for Barber to finish that fight against Aya, especially when she was landing those elbows in the clinch. Very dominant performance up against the cage there for Barber, and luckily for us, she wasn't able to get her out of there. So we cashed the first leg of the parlay with the fight goes to decision. That was at -250. Then I parlayed the -217 fight goes to decision for Volkanovski and Holloway. Given how much damage Volkanovski was dishing out that night, I was surprised that fight didn't finish inside the distance, as I thought that Holloway was starting to fade as that fight went on as well. Not to mention all the aesthetic, like the aesthetic of the damage on his face just did not look good. I was kind of surprised. I don't even think they brought in a doctor to look at it, honestly. But either way, we cashed that parlay 2 units at +105. That cashes for 2.1 units. Very happy about that. And then lastly, big shot here. 1.5 units at +105 on Alex Pereira. The whole week, the entire betting public, it seemed like, was on Sean Strickland. That's why the line continued to widen even as the fight card started and as that fight approached. I think Sean Strickland even got up to about -140, -150 at a certain time. And I was still dead confident in Pereira, right? It's one thing to think that your guy's going to go out there and do a specific thing, and it's another thing to have data to back up that he'll actually go out and do it, right? Sean Strickland is not one of those guys that we can go out there and trust and follow a game plan. He wants to go out there and he wants to slug it out with his opponent, right? It's been a long time since he's looked to grapple. Like, I think obviously he looked to grapple against Uriah Hall, but that was a 5-round fight. And it looked like he was slowing down a little bit in that fight. So he wanted to conserve a little bit of energy, look to get that fight to the ground, get a bit of a breather, and then get back to his striking ways. Alex Pereira, just snuffed him out pretty much immediately. I think he beat him on strikes by almost 10 significant strikes, and then eventually knocked him out there. So big performance from Alex Pereira. The middleweight division is a little bit more exciting once again, especially after Israel Adesanya stoked the flame, especially with that main event performance that he had against Jared Cannonier. But Alex Pereira has definitely made things a lot more interesting, and I can't wait to see how the middleweight division moves on forward from this. Plus 4.67 units total on UFC 276. So a very big spot there for your boy. Really hoping to continue that momentum on to this weekend's card and officially crack back over that break-even mark of the year, right? Like I said, at the beginning of the year, it just did not go right. I was having a lot of difficulty in terms of capping fights, but luckily, since April, or end of April, I should say, we've been on the upswing once again, and I'm finally back into the green for the year. Should this next event be a profitable one for us. So let's look forward to that. All right, let's quickly see what the chat is saying here. Then we'll move on to the first fight of the night. Shout out to my guy Abu Dhabi in the chat. Take no prisoner says weird card this week. Absolutely agree. I have no official plays locked in as of this moment. A couple of spots that I'm looking at, but no real conviction on a certain spot as of yet. JP in the chat, calling me the GOAT, but I'll take that humbly. Truly appreciate that. Take no prisoner says every fight can go either way. I agree. Ian Wind in the chat. That's my guy right there. Appreciate you stopping by and showing support. Abu Dhabi saying this will be a record for me. Fewest bets on a UFC card. Probably for me too. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to force anything here. So, again, do not force action if you truly don't feel comfortable on certain spots. JP saying only got a few plays this week. It's weird. Abu Dhabi giving your boys some positivity there. Truly appreciate it. The thing that bugs me is just that, you get all this love whenever my name is mentioned, but it's never, ever really reciprocated on the timelines. Maybe I'm not reciprocating on the timeline. Maybe that's why, but whatever. It's all good. Last week's card was a killer, man. Yes, I did very good on that card. Abu Dhabi saying only 2 bets so far. Fiziev -200 and Nurmagomedov -230. Great line shopping or snipe on that Nurmagomedov line, especially now that he's at -320. So it does pay off to start getting in your bets a little bit earlier in the card. Okay, saying what's the average price of a UFC Fight Night in Vegas ticket? For the Apex cards, it is not $175. Not at all. I paid close to $2,000 to go to the Cannonier and Gastelum Apex event. It starts at like $1,200 if I'm not mistaken. So Yeah, you're gonna have to have a deep pocket to attend one of those Apex events for like a fight night, just like a regular, like, if it's at an arena or something like that, maybe you'll be able to get tickets around 100, $200. But if you want to go to the Apex specifically, like where this card is going to be taking place, you're gonna have to shell out a pretty penny. You know what? We could even see um if you go to their website, ufcvip.com, you'll be able to see the fight night Apex prices here. So the Apex, it looks like it's sold out for this weekend already. But the next one they have at the Apex scheduled is August 6th, Santos versus Hill. Prices starting at $1,600. So there you guys go. All right. My guy Suryan in the chat, appreciate you stopping by, my friend. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into these fights here. First fight of the night. Let's not waste any time here. Sorry, Boob saying, how obnoxious are the Nelk boys when you went to the Apex fight? They weren't there. They were not there. Is what it is. All right, let's get into the first fight here. Let's not waste too much of our time. We got plenty of fights to get through. So, first fight of the night, probably the most intriguing fight to me on the entire card. Ronnie Lawrence against Saeed Jokob Kakramanov. I feel like I absolutely butchered his name there. Let me see if I can just quickly edit that real quick because it bugs me. I think that's how you spell it. Either way, Lawrence versus Kakramanov. Again, the fight that has my intrigue for the entire card. And it's the curtain jerker. Some mad disrespect to these guys in terms of their level of skill, which I believe is much more than several of the next couple fights that I'm going to be talking about. But I do like the underdog side here on Kakramanov. I'm seeing a lot of love for Ronnie Lawrence, and I get it. I mean, I'm a big Ronnie Lawrence guy myself. I believe I cashed on him against Vince Cashero in a slightly closely lined fight, but his style of just relentless pressure, relentless takedowns, solid cardio, it's sexy, it's appealing, especially as a better, right? Like, you want a guy that's always going to be fighting and never really slows down, and Ronnie Lawrence seems to be that guy. But Kakramanov has a very good wrestling game. He will definitely be able to hang with Ronnie Lawrence here. He should be able to stuff numerous takedowns, and then he should be able to get the better of the striking in this spot. I think people are just seeing the numbers that Ronnie Lawrence puts up in terms of takedowns, right? Because the guy's getting like 6 takedowns, 8 takedowns. Let me get the actual numbers here for you guys. Over his last 3 fights, which includes his fight on the Contender Series back in September of 2020. But he landed 12 takedowns in that fight. In his UFC debut against Vince Cashero, lands 8 takedowns, and then in his last fight against Mana Martinez, lands 6 takedowns. Crazy that there was a total of 5 knockdowns in that fight, 3 by Ronnie Lawrence and 2 by Mana Martinez. But what that also shows that is Ronnie Lawrence is a little bit, reckless on the feet, right? A lot of his stuff is just spinning attacks, wild attacks, no real technique behind those strikes. It's all to just kind of keep you busy and then eventually shoot that takedown once again. And that's what he looks to do over and over again. He went 6 of 7 on takedowns against Mana Martinez. He went 8 of 9 on takedowns against Vince Cashero. So his takedowns are definitely there. But with Kakramanov, I do think that his wrestling game overall is maybe slightly better. My question is, can he hold it up for 15 minutes? Because Ronnie Lawrence is going to continue to come after him time and time again. Now, he did manage to finish Trevin Jones on short notice in the 3rd round of that fight. That was actually the Apex event that I went to during his UFC debut. But I'm impressed with the kid, man. Even if you go back and watch his fight with Umar Nurmagomedov, making a very good account of himself, not just getting drowned in that fight. He was making it competitive. He was getting back to his feet after getting taken down, and he was very good at scrambling. And I think that's what's going to win him this fight against Ronnie Lawrence here. I do think he can remain active enough with the scrambles, with the defensive grappling, and then land the better strikes in terms of his when they are standing and when they're in the striking realm. So, Lawrence will continue to get dubs. I just don't think that this one is the one, man. I've taken a deep dive into Kakramanov and very, very impressed from what I'm seeing from this guy, his accolades, everything that I've been hearing as well from the wrestling match in terms of how good he is. This guy could be the shit. So yeah, I'm gonna go Kakramanov here to start the night with an upset, and I think he takes it home. Carlos Garoya stopping by, saying happy perfect time to tune in, taking dabs while finalizing bets. Good luck, everybody. Yes, you know what? Fuck it. I got my pen here. Let's just fucking go. Huh. I don't know why it's not hitting. Very weird. Yeah. I don't know why my pen is not hitting, but is what it is there. All right. Let us continue with this card. Baby Yoda saying oil is stuck. This is a brand new cartridge, though. I literally just got it. Take no prisoners saying nicotine or weed. It's definitely weed. I don't fuck with the nicotine. It is not off. If you can see the lights going on there, warm it up under your leg for a minute, then it'll be good. All right, maybe let's break down the next fight, and then I'll hit that again. Appreciate the tips, Baby Yoda. All right, let's move on to the next fight here. Solid fight that we got coming up. Probably not as good as the one that we just talked about, but still a fight nonetheless. We got Karl Roberson coming in at plus 115, going up against Kennedy and Zechuku at minus 135. The line mystifies me a little bit, right? It was a pick 'em earlier in the week. Now money coming in on Zechuku, but like I understand the hesitancy on the Roberson side, but he is the better fighter here. He's the more skilled of the two. Has a great kickboxing background. He has jiu-jitsu up his sleeve if he needs it, but it's just his fight IQ that we have to worry about, right? It's the playing footsies with fucking Brendan Allen on the ground once they get taken to the ground. No shit, you're going to get your shit torn up if you're playing a leg lock game against a jiu-jitsu player like Brendan Allen, of course. So it's those like just again wrestling against Wellington Turman, another very bad situation from a bad stylistic approach from him. Go out there and use your striking against these guys. Why are you tussling with these guys off the ground? Now with Zechuku, this is a fight that he should probably go out there and use his wrestling, look to get this fight to the ground, maybe use a little bit of his stand-up with his striking, with his kicks, then look for the takedowns after that. Because he's going to have about 9 inches of reach to close here in terms of distance, and then obviously the obvious height advantage for Kennedy and Zechuku. Let's not forget, Roberson used to fight at 185 pounds now he's up at 205. I get it. Didn't really have a good performance in his last fight against Khalil Roundtree, but that guy is a juggernaut when he is actually on. When he has his mental state like on point and can actually put his punches together, Khalil Roundtree is a tough motherfucker to beat, as Eric Anders obviously found out a couple years ago as well. So Roberson obviously falls flat on that fight. But here against Zechuku, this has got to be a fight that he can win, right? I think he can eventually land takedowns. I think he can eventually start to grind on Zechuku and maybe even find a submission at a certain point. I think Roberson gets the better of the striking. I think as long as he doesn't stay on the outside and allow Kennedy to just get off, right? Kennedy is one of those guys who's pretty much gotten the vast majority of his success strictly through his physical attributes. The guy's a big dude. He's athletic, right? He's powerful as well. And let's not knock him too much. He has heart about him, right? We obviously saw that Carlos Solberg fight where he was on skates numerous amounts of times, pulls through, and then eventually gets the finish of his own. So big ups to Zechuku for that. But in terms of a pure skill standpoint, Roberson is the better fighter here. So as long as he doesn't go out there and have the fight IQ of a fucking rock, he should go out there and be able to, put his punches together, get some grappling going, and possibly even finish Zechuku on the ground with a submission of his own. The prop for the finish, let me just quickly pull this up here. Prop for Roberson by submission is currently sitting at plus 450, which I think is a little bit of a gift here. I think it's worth a shot. If you can get one of those double chance ones, Roberson by sub or decision, I don't think that'll be a bad spot. I'm just skeptical of him being able to get the knockout. Like I said, he's the better striker. It's just a lot of distance to cover to be able to get those big strikes off and eventually find the chin of Zechuku and put him down. So I think a lot of his success is going to come from him grappling here. And we've seen him go out there and grapple against grapplers. Hopefully he does that here and grapples against a striker when he has the clear, distinct advantage. So I'm hesitant to part ways with my money betting on Roberson, but at plus money and having the obvious skill advantage, gotta believe he's got to be the side here and got to take advantage of those plus money spots. And I'll say this, on my track record, my weakest point has always been betting slight favorites. So I stay away from slight favorites when I can, unless I'm like truly convicted about them. Like I'm trying to remember the last one. I think it was Jared Cannonier that was getting into slight favorite or not. Yeah, Jared Cannonier against Derek Brunson earlier this year. He was getting into slight favorite money territory, and I almost let that scare me off. But I was like, this is his fight. This is a fight for him to go out there and win. And here, right, like I feel like Zechuku could be a trap spot at minus 135. People are going to see the height and reach and all that advantage that he's going to have over Roberson once they have the face-offs, and maybe we might get a better line on Roberson after that. But I truly like Roberson in this spot, as long as he doesn't fight like a complete dumbass. That's all I gotta say. Take no prisoners. Just laughing at the fact that I'm like, why would I smoke nicotine? That's not me. TJ Mizzy saying if it's too tight, check the connection. I'll definitely check that out. Kenda65. I love that name by Kappa Bets. Love it. I love it. John Valentine saying under 2.5 in this one. Roberson doesn't like fighting very long, whether he wins or loses. True. Touche. My concern would be if he goes out there and looks to just grind him out on the mat, right? What if he does look for submissions but doesn't end up getting the submission, but is content with just keeping position on top? So sub or decision is kind of where I'm leaning for Karl Roberson in this fight. Now let me try to hit this pen one more time. Very weird. I don't know if my pen is dead or what. It's lighting up. Just bear with me here, fellas. I can taste it a bit. Very weird. I'll break down one more fight, and then I'm going to go get my other pen / cartridge and see if that fixes anything. But all right, let's get back into breaking down the fights here. Okay, saying you're hitting a pen and not a rig. I'm not a rig guy. I'm not that deep. I mean, spliff, pen. That's it. I mean, my bong and pipe days are over. I left that in college. I'm too old for bongs and pipes nowadays. Shout out to my guy Take No Prisoners with the $10 donation / super chat. Truly appreciate that, my friend. Means a lot. He's going Vandera over 1.5, I guess. Baralio over 1.5. Shevchenko fight to go to decision. Tercios fight to go to decision. That's it for me this week. I gotta say, I don't mind it. I think a lot of those are pretty good spots. I think those are all pretty damn good spots. My guy Bunk Hoots in the chat as well. Appreciate you sending you that Saskatchewan love as always. All right, let's get on to the next fight here. Let's not waste too much more time. We got next up is the return of the heavily touted and widely loved David Onama, who's coming in at minus 750 here. Plus 550, the return on short notice, Garrett Armfield. Now, these guys fought on the amateur scene way back in the day, and Onama got the better of him via decision. But a very weird fight, especially after you start digging into Armfield and seeing what kind of fighter he actually is. Yeah, I mean, he has a collegiate wrestling background. I believe he was at Missouri State, if I'm not mistaken, and he shot almost no takedowns in that fight against David Onama. I mean, he was content with striking. Onama was definitely getting the better of the hands. We saw Armfield start to land a couple more kicks in the second round, but Onama was pretty much answering every time he threw a strike or any time he threw a kick. And then Onama was just like, he wasn't dummying him on the feet, but he was definitely outstriking him and landing the better strikes. But Armfield, since that fight, he has two professional losses, one coming to Ronnie Lawrence, and the other one coming to a Canadian standout, Mateo Vogel. For those that know Mateo Vogel, he's a very good jiu-jitsu player, ultimately why he ended up getting that rear naked choke against Armfield that night. But since then, put together 3 straight wins. He does have a split decision victory over a guy that was 6-3, but that was an obvious, egregious scorecard. Even as soon as like the announcer read off, this fight is going to a split decision. The guy that lost the fight looked over at Armfield. He goes, that was not, you won that fight. You won that fight. Like there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So horrible split decision card there, but Armfield clearly wins that fight. And a lot of it is driven by takedowns. And that's pretty much how he's been going about his professional MMA career. And I believe he's down there at Sanford MMA. I think they call it Killclef MMA or Killclef FC, if I'm not mistaken now, but getting great training down there. And I think they're telling him to tap into that wrestling side of his game. Why not? You have it in your back pocket, and we've come to know already that wrestling is the most dominant form of mixed martial arts. So why not use it? So even though he's taking this fight on short notice and up a weight class, I believe that he's going to be ready to implement that type of game plan against David Onama. I mean, taking this fight to the ground over and over again. We saw David Onama get taken down numerous times by fucking Mason Jones in his UFC debut, which he, I believe, also took on short notice. Excuse me. And that is, it may not be a clear hole in his game, but when you have a wrestler as such a big underdog and has that clear path to victory, gotta take a little bit of a shot, right? Like this is gonna be one of those spots where I probably predict Onama to win just because he's the bigger fighter at this point in time, better striking, possibly has more confidence in his strikes, and likely will knock out Armfield at a certain point in this fight. But like the value wise, I gotta believe is on the underdog here, right? I don't know what people think David Onama is. Yes, he's a good knockout puncher. Yes, he has good strikes. But like I think once he starts fighting guys with more of a well-rounded game, Gabriel Benitez, mainly just a striker, went to war with him, almost knocked out David Onama as well. Let's not forget about that. He almost rocked him and hurt him there. But like Garrett Armfield will bring a different style to this fight, right? He's not going to stand in the pocket and swing with him like Mason Jones did. And I think because of that wild fight that he had with Mason Jones, the stock on David Onama went up, which it should undoubtedly, right? But you got to get a guy that's going to fight a smart game plan against David Onama and possibly, make it a boring fight if it needs to be a boring fight. And I think that's what Garrett Armfield is not scared of doing here. I do think that he'll have success getting this fight to the ground. And then I think from there, he can really work David Onama into the ground. The main thing to look for here is going to be the size difference, right? So Armfield is 5'7", 71-inch reach. On the flip side for David Onama, 5'11", 74-inch reach. So he's going to have a 4-inch height advantage as well as a, 3-inch reach advantage. So it's not a huge difference per se. And especially being the wrestler, you want to be the shorter guy anyway, right? So I don't mind a shot here, even a very small shot on on Armfield. I feel like I got to take it. Even if it's a half unit shot at plus 550, you're getting great money there. Not to mention the over 1.5, I don't think is a bad spot either. That's currently sitting at minus 130, minus 110 on certain spots. I could see Armfield making this a dirty fight, grinding it out, and we see this fight creep into the second and third rounds. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Onama as my prediction, but don't be surprised if you guys see me with an Armfield ticket come fight night. So give me Armfield by decision, which is around plus 900, plus 1200. If you want to sprinkle a little bit of that, not too bad of a spot there either. But yeah, I think Armfield can make this a lot closer than the odds indicate. Don't be caught parlaying Onama. Like, take Onama to win by KO, right? That's the way Onama looks minus 750, is if he goes out there and starts his arm field. Possible. All right, let's see what the chat is saying here. AJ is saying, what brand is that pen? It is from a High Buzz. It's from one of my local stores here by where I live. Yeah. Very weird. Jewish Better, yes, bro. Have me feeling good about my lock. What's your lock? John Valentine saying Onama by decision plus money. Sneaky way to get away from big juice. Possibly. But again, it all depends on how Armfield approaches this fight, right? As long as he doesn't fight like a dumbass like he did in the first fight, he should be able to grind through this fight for sure. Luke Fulton saying, love the title. Just wait till we get to the breakdown in the main event here. All right, give me 1 second, fellas. I'm gonna go just grab my other pen. I'll be less than 30 seconds. Let me just put up a quick banner here in case anybody hops in while I'm out. Just give me 30 seconds. I will be right back. And I'm back. Told you guys I'll be quick. All right, let me try this other cartridge with this pen because I was literally just hitting this other cartridge a little bit earlier today with no issues. So let's try it out. Oh yeah, there we go. Must be something with this other cartridge. The wife actually just bought that other cartridge today, so maybe there's an issue there. All right. We got my guy Marcus Williams in the chat. I was literally just about to wear your Nubian bookstore hat, my friend. And then I saw the 76ers one. I'm like, I haven't worn the 76ers one in a while. Let me rock it. But next week for those shows, Marcus, just for you, I shall wear the Nubian bookstore, my friend. And my man Marcus came out with some big coin last time around. I think he went to 276 in Vegas and was just showing off the moolah that he was able to make that night. Shout out to you, my friend. Jewish Better saying, I like that idea, John. I agree, rig the way to go. You guys are savages smoking rigs, honestly. Okay, saying fuck luck, making me second guess my Lawrence pick and bet. Don't let me talk you off of it. I mean, I do think that Lawrence is a great fighter, but I think that Saeed Yokob could throw a wrench in his plans there. Antonio Garcia saying, are we getting a discount on Jacoby considering you fought a close fight against? Oh, we are far away from the Jacoby fight, my friend. I am not here to discuss that yet. Maybe I'll do a Locky late night early next week and we'll talk about upcoming fights. But this one, we're just talking about this coming card. I apologize, Antonio. Cope's Corner saying, I'll send you some foreign cards from Cali. Hit me, my friend. If you're able to get it over the border to me up here in Canada, fucking slide in my DMs. Let's get it going. I would love to get some cards, my friend. Appreciate you stopping by. Boob saying no for refunds. Exactly. There are no refunds. Maybe it's just a different pen that I got to use to hit that. Joshua Frick in the chat. Thank you for the retweet. No worries, my friend. You are always one of the good guys. One of the guys I truly appreciate in the space. Always showing love, always reciprocating the love. And that's the most important thing to me at this point. Joe Sparrow sparking at Jay right now. I love it. Aaron saying, just tune in. I like Fiziev by decision. We will get to that main card, main event in the next 45 minutes or so. Maybe less than that. We'll see. AJ saying, yeah, those 5-10 cards clog sometimes too. Invest in a good battery with the preheat settings on preheat. I shall. Again, these were just a quick buy in a sense when I was at the store. All right, let us keep this trade moving along to the next fight. We are going to be looking at just to give you guys some inside baseball and sometimes what I do. So I have the Tapology page loaded, I have the UFC stats page loaded, and I have the best fight odds page loaded. Just those are like my three main go-tos whenever I'm breaking down a card live on stream. But sometimes like I'll like just what happened right now. I'll click David Onama when I start off the breakdown just to quickly refresh my memory. Then I'll go into Garrett Onfield. And then as I'm having my conversation, I'll go back and forth between the two pages. And then before I know, I have to click back like 6 times to get back to the full card. Excuse me. Oh, that was a nasty one. Sorry, apologies for that, guys. My throat just went rogue for a second. But yeah, I have to click back a bunch of times just so I can get back to the full card so I know what fight is next. Speaking of which fight is next, we are going to go with Cody Brundage against Trishan Gore. Great fight here. Minus 140 on Gore, plus 120 on Cody Brundage. This was a fight that, I feel like I should have gone on a little bit earlier this week, right? Gore was around minus 120, minus 110, a lot of money coming in on him over the last couple of days. And I get it. I understand, man. He's a very young guy in the game still with only 5 total professional fights, I should say. That's not including his amateur career or his Ultimate Fighter run. But the guy's has speed on his side. He has the power advantage here. He has the footwork advantage here, and his defensive grappling doesn't seem too shabby, right? There was a fight on earlier in his professional career where it did seem a little bit skeptical, but I do think that it's improving. We saw it in the Brian Battle fight, right? Battle didn't have too much success in terms of controlling him on the ground, but he did remain active there. I did bet Battle there as an underdog, and it cashed out, thankfully, but he didn't leave that cage without some visible damage. Obviously, his eye was, very much swollen that night, and that just is a further testament to how much power Gore has in his hands, right? He can go out there, put his hands on you, he can definitely dish out some damage, and that's what I'm expecting him to do here against Cody Brundage. The only thing that kind of scares me from betting a guy like Trishan Gore is he's 3-1 actually. So he doesn't even have 5 total professional MMA fights. So he's still kind of young in his career. Cody Brundage, not too far off either, right? 9 professional MMA fights, but he's had some decent amateur experience as well. But I'm just not sold on the fact that Cody Brundage is this crazy wrestler who's going to be able to land takedowns at will and control Trishan Gore on the ground. Because when this fight is in the striking realm, Gore is the one with the clear advantage. Gore will be the one landing the better strikes, and he could potentially knock him out in this spot as well. I think Gore via KO is currently sitting around plus 250. Yep, plus 250. I think that's a solid line here. I think Gore, if he can pull the trigger, that's kind of been one of the knocks on his game. He's just not effective enough with his output or his volume. But if he can change that here, if he can land the better strike, or actually if he can just pull the fucking trigger, he will find the knockout. I have no doubt about it. I think he will be able to flatline Brundage in this spot. He'll be faster to the punch. He'll be faster to the chin. And then from there, I think he just touches up Brundage and eventually knocks him out. So I really like Trishan here. I'm going to be pulling the trigger on him probably after the stream, just so the number doesn't get too far away from me. Again, like I said earlier in the stream, the slight favorite realm of fighters usually scares me off because usually that's my weakest spot when I'm betting. But I feel like he's got to be the side here. He's gotta be the side. So yeah, unfortunately for Cody Brundage and my guy Mark Montoya, one of my favorite coaches in the game, he's gonna have to take an L here. And I think Trishan Gore comes out with a dub. And I'll say this last thing I'll say. I think he came in way too overconfident in his UFC debut. He paid for it, and I think he learned his lesson there. And now he actually has to go out there and execute. It's one thing to make it to the UFC. It's another thing to actually get a W, get things going. And I think that's what we're going to see here with Trishan Gore. So give me Gore by knockout. Let's see what the chat is saying. Antonio Garcia said he got ahead a little bit. I apologize. Again, we'll get to that next week. DJ Low in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by. Burning it down live. Got to do it right. It's fucking 1 a.m. over here in Toronto. Might as well. Matt McDonald saying I'm feeling Fiziev by stoppage. We shall see. How ironic would it be if RDA won by axe kick? That would be hilarious. Joshua Frick saying, give this man some likes so we can keep high doing late nights and keep him high. I appreciate it. Likes are always great. That is the least I ever ask of you guys. Antonio Garcia saying Battle is a big mofo too. He is. And he's much better than people make him to be. So, yeah, I was very happy to catch that. Ryan Schmidt saying Gore is easy money. I'd probably agree there. Fight did open as a pick'em, and I think the smart money is coming in on Gore here for a reason. Cope saying I got Gore too, but seems too easy. I agree. Jewish Bear saying sounds like a Drake song. 1 a.m. Toronto. I think it is a Drake song, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of speaking of Drake, I'm going to a concert tomorrow. I got the Weeknd concert tomorrow. It's the first date of his, I guess, worldwide tour or North American tour. And he starts it off tomorrow in his hometown of Toronto. So I'm very excited to go to that. I don't know if some of y'all are soft enough to enjoy the Weeknd's music, but I'm a big fan of his. Big fan of his last album. His last album to me is like top 3 favorite albums of all time for me now, and that is truly not a recency bias thing, considering it's been almost 6 months now, and I'm still banging that fucking album. So I'm really excited for that. The best thing about it, and I'll quickly get back to MMA after this. I apologize, guys. But the great thing about this concert is we were initially supposed to go last year in February, but they canceled it because of COVID. And it was happening where the Raptors normally play, which is the Scotiabank Arena. Since then, since he canceled it, he came out with a new album in January and wants to tour that album as well. So what did he do? He changed venues. He is no longer playing where the Raptors play, the Scotiabank Arena. He is playing at the Sky Dome, aka Rogers Center, aka where the Blue Jays play. So way more people are going to be attending. The production value looks fucking insane from what I've been seeing on Instagram. I can't wait to get fucked up tomorrow and just zone the fuck out in the music. I am so psyched and cannot wait until that fucking album. I think me and the wife are going to be going downtown around 2:30, 3 o'clock tomorrow. So I won't be able to do the Ultimate Weigh-In show tomorrow, considering the weigh-ins are going to be wrapping up around the time that I start to pre-drink and get ready. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be pre-drinking for the most part of that day. I want to get fucked up tomorrow. Like, I really want to enjoy myself. So, yeah, tomorrow night I will be nowhere to be found, but luckily I'll be around for the fights the following day. Gilio saying Shevchenko gets the W. Luckily for you, my friend, that is the next fight that I'm going to be talking about after I get to these couple comments. Boob saying how many matrices by Fiziev? We're going to see a couple. We'll see a couple. Joshua saying Gore looked like the best fighter on the Ultimate Fighter. I agree. He has the physical traits and physical attributes to pull it all off. Joshua Frick says Canada's great rappers. Try always, never lock. Yeah, you're right. John Valentine saying I liked him a lot when he did his mixtapes. A little too poppy now, but I'm sure his shows are insane. I love the vibe of his last album. If you haven't listened to the last album yet, which is Dawn FM, I would highly suggest listening to it. He has that old school vibe, that old school, I don't even know how to explain it. Just old school vibe. I fucking love it. Not to mention he has the other famous Canadian Jim Carrey narrating the majority of that album. So that's great as well. Cope's asking, no kids yet? I do not have any kids, my friend. I officially got married 2 years ago, but we have no intentions of having kids, at least for the next 2 or 3 years. So living it up as much as we can before we tie ourselves down. Can't lie, that's fucking awesome, dude. Have fun. I can't wait. Fender Jazz saying, awesome, man. I teach music courses. I have lectures on the weekend. I love it. Fender, if I'm not mistaken, that's a guitar brand, if I'm not mistaken. And I used to go to college for a music business. So we have a little bit more in common than you think, my friend. Antonio Garcia saying the movie with Adam Sandler made me hate the weekend for a couple of seconds. Yes, he was in Uncut Gems. I love it. Aaron saying I can see Gore gassing out and losing. Lines are too close. Money on Brundage. I don't know if he'll gas out, man. I don't think if Brundage could actually get him to that point where he'll gas him out. I think he might be knocked out before that even happens. Hawk Corleone saying, man, praise God. I really appreciate the love, my friend. Gyanu Varshney is saying, what's your best bet for this weekend? We'll get to that at the end of the show. The rapper Always Never. I still feel like I'm losing you there, Josh, but I appreciate the love. TJ Spartacus saying, I definitely fuck with you on the regular basis. I truly appreciate it, TJ. Honestly, means a lot. Hope's Corner, fuck yeah, enjoy each other. Exactly. Kids are dope, but time with women is just as good. Exactly. Brundage got bad cardio anyways. Brundage got bad cardio. Yeah, there you go. Fender saying, yes, man, I have a Fender Strat, 3 Fender balances, and spent way too long in music school. I wish I was musically talented. I am not. Like, I want to. One of my goals is to actually get a piano and learn the piano myself. That's the only instrument I have any interest in learning. But yeah, I mainly did music business in school. That was the main thing. Got a job in music business, but pay fucking sucks. Let's just put it that way. Shout out to the MMA world, though, for allowing me to do this thing full time. And thanks to you guys. You guys are the reason I'm able to do this shit full time. All the love and support, the constant support that we get. That is always big shit. All right. For my guy, who is it? Julio. I apologize if I completely butchered it. Julio. Let's get on to the next fight. We're going to talk about Antonina Shevchenko against Courtney Casey. Minus 170 on Shevchenko, plus 140 on Courtney Casey. Intriguing fight here, right? We got a fight where we got Shevchenko, who we know is the obvious better technical fighter, right? That is the fighter that we all believe will get the better of pretty much the striking and maybe the grappling if she's the one being offensive with it, right? The only thing that scares me off is the potential armbar from guard here, right? Casey's jiu-jitsu isn't horrible, which is why she always ends up on her back and she's comfortable playing off her back, giving up too much time. But that's what scares me about Shevchenko is if she gets caught in something stupid like that. Outside of that, she should be touching her up on the feet. She should be getting the better of the striking exchanges. If she wants to take this thing to the ground and grind it out that way as well, we know Courtney Casey has horrible takedown defense, so Shevchenko could absolutely go that route. I don't know what it is, but there's just a voice in the back of my head be like, hey, don't pay the chalk on Antonina. Don't pay the chalk on Antonina. Sure, predict her to win, but don't pay the chalk on Antonina because she might get armbarred from guard. That is the type of fighter she is. She's very flaky, in my opinion. And I do think that she could eventually get caught in something here if she plays a little bit too long in guard, right? If she does get the takedown, let's hope she passes to half guard or side control as soon as possible. Because playing in the guard of Courtney Casey, and I'm not trying to make Courtney Casey sound like Brian Ortega or some shit, right? But it is possible. She pulled it off against Mara Romero Barella. You know, she shows that she can still do it. And Shevchenko is lackadaisical enough on top that she might actually get caught in it. If that doesn't happen, though, right? This is like one of those spots where you're like betting against a big striker, a guy against a guy who has KO power, right? With a guy who's technically much better overall. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. And there was one the other week where we got a quick loss. Let me just quickly pull it up here. Tafon Nchukwi against Carlos Hallberg, right? I thought Nchukwi would be able to be much better over 15 minutes, but he got caught early, got put out. Oh, sorry, this is the one that I actually want to talk about. Court McGee versus Jeremiah Wells. Court McGee, much better 15-minute fighter than Jeremiah Wells. The hesitancy is getting past that first little bit where Wells has that tremendous KO power where he's at his, most savage, most powerful, and he actually caught him there. So with Courtney Casey, she could put up that armbar at any point in this fight. That's a possibility. So I like Shevchenko here. I think she outpoints Casey. The spot that I wouldn't even mind, honestly, let me see if the odds aren't super chalky here. Fight to go to a decision at minus 185. I do not mind that. There's another women's MMA fight on this card where the fight goes to decision is at a pretty bettable line. But here for Shevchenko and Casey, I could see this absolutely going 15 minutes. Kind of surprised it's only at minus 185. So I'm going to go Shevchenko by decision. It's going to be hard to knock out cast iron Courtney Casey, considering that jaw that she has and all the damage we've ever seen her take. Not to mention she's never been knocked out either. So give me Shevchenko by decision. Take no prisoners. Right on the same wavelength as me saying fight goes to decision. I agree, my friend. Fender Jazz said, did tape on Antonina. Her striking is weak. Wide guard, drops her hands after strikes, drops one hand while swinging the other, even in MT, in Muay Thai, not okay at UFC level. True. But she's fighting Courtney Casey here. Courtney Casey's not going to take advantage of that, in my opinion. Shevchenko will be the better striker, even if she does have some defensive liabilities. But yes, I do think that Shevchenko outpoints her here and wins this by decision. Cope's Corner says, I hate picking Shevchenko light, but you're right. She sucks. Exactly. Boof saying Drew Dober and Courtney Casey should have a baby. Bro, that baby would look like, what's the fucking American Dad guy's name? Hold on, let me pull this up. Shout out to Boob for that comment, but she'd look like the main character from American Dad, or their baby story would look like the main character from American Dad, right? What's his name? Stan. Look at that fucking chin, bro. Oh, Boob. Thank you for that. Stan Smith. That's what it is. Stan Smith. Thank you, Hawk. I've watched American Dad. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I completely forgot the name. I know the alien's name is Roger, but yeah, Drew Dober and Courtney Casey having a baby would definitely be Stan Smith, if I'm not mistaken. All right, let's move on to the next fight. I feel like with the pace that I'm going at for this stream, we're going to be here forever. I still want to get some sleep at the end of the day. All right, let us move on to the next fight, and we're going to be looking at a very puzzling fight, one that I'm still trying to get a full grasp on. We're going to go with Ricky Tercios going up against Emad Zahabi. Interesting fight here. Ricky Tercios obviously coming off winning the Ultimate Fighter. Seems like he's been out of the cage for a while, but finally gets matched up with Emad Zahabi, who just seems to never fight either, right? Last time we saw Emad Zahabi was February of last year. And then for Ricky Tercios, who's 11-2 here, last time we saw him was August of 21. So actually the week after I went to Vegas for the Cannonier and Gastelum card. So he still has, 7 months less than he's been out of the cage compared to Emad Zahabi, or 6 months, I should say. But still, Zahabi's never been a guy that's been super active, right? He has an 8-2 professional record, but he made his professional MMA debut in November of 2012. His next fight after that was a year and a half later in 2014. He's just not consistent enough with his fighting. There is a stretch before he made it to the UFC where he looked like he was fighting every 4 to 6 months. But then, making his UFC debut a full year after his last fight, his last regional fight, then he takes off 9 months, then fights Ricardo Ramos, gets knocked out there, takes off close to 2 years, just under 2 years, I'd say a year and a half, and then loses to Vince Morales. That was, I believe, a fight in Ottawa. Yeah, that was the Ottawa fight night, which Cerrone beat Iaquinta, and then he takes off almost another 2 years. And although, COVID did play a factor in that, he still stayed out for almost 2 years and then finished Draco Rodriguez. Now here he is a year and a half later again, taking on the guy in Ricky Tercios, who's, I like to call him like Tony Ferguson reincarnated, right? The guy's very wacky. The guy's very weird, has a very unorthodox style of fighting. Nothing real technical about his game, but he's more so, likes to throw output there, likes to throw volume, and just a, proof of his volume-based style, but it's not being super effective, is this fight against Boston Salmon on the Contender Series back in 2017. He outstrikes him 110-61 and still loses a unanimous decision that night. So he throws a lot of big strikes out there, but it's just like, do they land effectively enough? Do they look like they're doing damage? And if they don't, how much are the judges actually scoring them? He landed a knockdown against Barry Highstand, so obviously that helped, fuel his split decision victory that night. And he did outstrike him 100-66, gave up 6 takedowns. That's a possibility as well for Emad Zahabi in terms of going for takedowns in this spot. But I'm leaning with the dog here in Zahabi. Tercios is one of those guys that's going to have to have a lot of things go right for him to be able to win fights because of how wacky and wild he is, right? A lot of spinning stuff, good combinations, all that good stuff. But the issue with Zahabi has been his output, his ability to pull the trigger. And he seemed like he was struggling against Vince Morales 2 fights ago. Seemed like he wasn't struggling against Draco Rodriguez, where he was finally able to let those punches go. And we saw what happens when he does. And that's absolutely possible here against Tercios. He could find that chin of Tercios, who's a little bit wild and reckless at times. He's a little bit wide with his shots, leaves his chin in the air, and Zahabi could absolutely crack him. Now, Zahabi started off, if I'm not mistaken, as I guess you can say a full MMA fighter, but his brother, Firas Zahabi, started off in Muay Thai. And that's where you got to think Zahabi's base is. So he's probably the better striker here. It's all about pulling the trigger and actually believing in himself. So I'm going to lean Zahabi here as a dog because it's very tough to bet a fighter like Tercios. I get it. He has a solid record. I believe he's 11-2. Yeah, he's 11-2, but his style is going to be very difficult to translate to the UFC level, which is winning consistent rounds with consistent and effective damage. I don't know if he'll be able to do that here against Zahabi. He might get the better of him in certain spots, but I think that Zahabi will likely land maybe some takedowns, land the more effective strikes, possibly even knock out Tercios. So I'll lean with Zahabi here. The only issue being his layoff. It's just too long for me. It's very skeptical, or it's very sketchy in terms of what kind of fighter you're always going to be getting when he gets in there, which is once every year and a half. So I'll go Zahabi just because of the line as well, and just how flaky Tercios could be in certain spots. AJ saying yes, it is his profile picture. I love that. Joshua Frick saying Ricky throws so much stuff but never seems to have power behind it, like death by 1,000 toothpicks. Pretty much, that is what it is. Take no prisoners saying Ricky's going to overwhelm Zahabi and it'll lead to a decision or another back and forth fight. Decision's not a bad spot either. What are the odds for the fight to go to decision? -135. Very intriguing. Zahabi could melt him, but -135 on the fight to go to decision. Not a bad look. Joshua Frick saying Ricky accepts back position, but his transitions out are great because his gas tank is so strong. Yes. He's good at scrambles, and he's good at, and he has great cardio. Great points there by Joshua as well. That's another kind of thing we have to worry about with picking Zahabi in this spot. Fender saying, I was at the Ottawa fight, Cerrone's last win. Eamon looked good, but seemed to check out a bit versus Morales. I still have him here. Yeah, he should win this fight, but it's about believing in himself and finally pulling the goddamn trigger. All right, let us move on to the next fight. Actually, it's just about to be the main card. So I always like to take this time to remind you guys, hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already below. That is the best and easiest way to show your boy support. I truly appreciate all of it. I believe right now we're at 31 likes with about 60 people in here. So if you haven't already, please do hit that like and subscribe. I truly, I truly appreciate all of that, honestly. All right, let us move on to the next fight, and it is a banger in the lightweight division. Why can't I get his banner up? There we go. Jamie Mullarkey versus Michael Johnson, +190 on Johnson, -225 on Mullarkey. Interesting spot here for Michael Johnson, who's trying to make it back-to-back wins after he picked up a big win over Alan Patrick last time out. That fight was back in May. He wanted to get back in there really quickly and then match him up with Jamie Mullarkey. I want to say this about Michael Johnson, though. 20-17 record. Shout out to Tapology as well for having excuse me, for having his picture on Tapology to be from his fight against Jonathan Brookins when he made his UFC debut for the Ultimate Fighter 12 finale. Loses that fight. Also, shout out to Jonathan Brookins, who the fuck knows where he's been now. 16-10 finished record. Won a fight back in 2017 and hasn't really looked back. But yeah, wow, Nam Fan, Alex Caceres, Aaron Wilkinson. What an Ultimate Fighter season. Pablo Garza was on that season as well. Holy crap. Look at some of these wins that Michael Johnson has had throughout his career. Shane Roller, Tony Ferguson, Danny Castillo, Joe Lozon, Gleison Tebow, Melvin Glard, Edson Barboza, Dustin Poirier. Knocked Poirier stiff as well, if you guys remember that one. Split over Feely, beats Artem Lobov, but he keeps finding himself in these lulls. But his earlier loves were not that bad. 2-fight losing streak to Beneil Dariush and Nate Diaz. Then he beats Dustin Poirier. Then look at this. Khabib, Justin Gaethje, and then Darren Elkins is the one where everybody started to question his legitimacy, right? Because he was 17-11 going into that, 17-12 going into that Darren Elkins fight. And since then, he's been 3-8? Not a good look. Before the Alan Patrick fight, it was 2-8 in his last 10 fights. Beats Feely, beats Lobov. Then this is the run where people start to sketch him out, right? He's beating Josh Emmett for 2.5 rounds, gets knocked out with 36 seconds left. Loses to Stevie Ray. Very weird fight there where he gives up bad positions on the ground. Thiago Moises, lights him up. Possible 10-8 in that first round. Gets ankle locked immediately going into round 2. And then the Clay Guida fight, touching him up on the feet, but just can't do anything about the grappling. Alan Patrick fight just absolutely dusts him in the striking round there, which everybody knew was going to happen, right? And ends up getting the win there. Now Jamie Malarkey, this is a guy that he has the speed advantage over, power advantage over, striking advantage over. But Jamie Malarkey is like the poor man's Darren Elkins, in my opinion. He's grindy, he's gritty. He can take some shots, even though he did get finished in his last fight against Jalen Turner. I do think that Michael Johnson has the chops to go out there and find that kill shot once again and put Jamie Malarkey down and out. Nothing would make me happier if a 36-year-old Michael Julian Johnson can go out there and put together a winning streak and reclaim his status of a legitimate fighter at this point in his career. It's going to be a tough one for him against Jamie Malarkey, but I actually do lean him as the underdog. Plus 190, I think, is an insane line here. I think people are continuing just to go on that auto fade of Michael Johnson because of what he did or his run before the Alan Patrick fight. But I think he can do something here against Malarkey, man. I think he can find that chin and put him out and put him down. Malarkey, decent striker in his own right, and I think he has finishing capabilities should this fight go deeper into it. But I think that Michael Johnson lights him up from the jump and finishes him within the first round. So I'm going Michael Johnson. First round knockout. What do you guys think about that? Right? um yeah, like I said, I'm going to go Johnson here as the underdog, plus 190. Cope's Corner saying I have a rule on my show. When a vet has gas left, I got to go vet, especially at dog money. It's possible. Dogs are barking tonight, like my guy Boob is saying. Cope's Corner saying left-handed Mike is no joke. I absolutely agree. There's going to be multiple underdogs that I'm probably going to bet on this card because, again, there's not many fights where I feel pure conviction about it. Like Kakramanov, probably going to bet. Hafner and Garrett Armfield, going to bet. Probably take a shot on Karl Roberson. I like Trishan Gore. Will likely have a shot on him. Going to skip on Shevchenko. Going to skip on Zahabi. But I'll likely take a shot on here on Michael Johnson at plus 190, maybe even plus 200, depending on where I can get it. Joshua Frick saying, sounds like what happened to Strickland. Malarkey won't stick to the game plan. We'll try to strike with a better striker. Possible. John Valentine liking the under 2.5. I don't mind that either. All right, let us move on to the next fight, which is Tapology. You gotta work with me here, Tapology. We're going to go with Cynthia Calvillo going up against Nina Nunes. Minus 150 for Calvillo, plus 130 for Nunes. And I can just not in good faith bet Cynthia Calvillo any longer. Her performance against Andrea Lee was so despicable. Like, she got beat up bad, but she showed no heart in there. She showed no willingness to win. She gave up on the stool after round 2. Again, fucking Andrea Lee could box me up and I would probably quit as well. But this is your job. Yeah, I mean, you should go out there and, find a way, knowing that you're not going to be the better striker there, find a way to drag this thing to the ground and try to get that going. She did get a takedown, if I'm not mistaken, couldn't do anything with it. Now, Nunes, people want to rag on her because she was a mom recently. She lost that fight to Mackenzie Dern, but she's made a good account of herself in most of her fights, right? She comes in as a plus 240 underdog, beats Claudia Gadelha. Great performance there. She goes 15 minutes with, the uncrowned champ, in my opinion, Tatiana Suarez. As long as Tatiana could stay healthy, she's probably the champion. So she's made a good of account of herself on certain spots. Here, it's going to come down to, will she be able to stuff the takedowns? Will she be able to get back to her feet? And will she be able to continuously outstrike Calvillo? Because for some reason, Calvillo thinks she's a great striker, which she's not. She's not a good striker, in my opinion. Nunes is slightly the better striker. Nunes is definitely getting the better training. So I'm leaning Nunes here. I'm going to take her to win this fight by decision, but just like the prior women's MMA fights, I like this fight to go to a decision. And it's currently hanging around minus 175 or minus 190, depending on your bookie. But I think this is a good spot for durability for both women to pay off here, right? I don't think Calvillo will submit Nunes. She's not the Mackenzie Dern level of jiu-jitsu. And I don't think that Nunes knocks out or finishes Calvillo, as I believe that Andrea Lee is a better striker than Nina Nunes, but Nunes should be able to still land definitive shots to sway the scorecards in her way. Nunes by decision, currently sitting at plus 225. Not too bad of a line there. But yeah, I'm going to go Nunes. I'm going to take her to win this fight by decision. Be very skeptical of Calvillo's performances moving forward. Cope's Corner saying, sorry for my shitty statement. I just think vet at dog money is a gift. Drank and smoked too much. It's all good. Just for that, that one's for you, my friend, Cope's Corner. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Copez or Copes? All right. Cope saying, dude, but Nunes, no way you can be the mom and be training full time. My woman has no time. True. But what's Amanda been doing? Well, I guess she's been shooting the Ultimate Fighter, but I'm sure she's been getting in enough time to train enough. I think she'll be fine. Juice Bear saying, oh, bro, this is honestly my favorite episode this far. Am I being too off the cuff here? I just got to stop giving a fuck. I mean, I already don't give a fuck. There's just things within the industry and shit that the Capra community that just rubs me the wrong way sometimes, but is what it is. It is what it is. Some show love, some don't. Some love you. Some say they love you. Then when it comes time to show it, they don't. Whatever. Fuck them. All right. Rips and picks in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, my friend. I love the fucking logo. Absolutely gorgeous logo there. What's going on? Just absolutely chilling, breaking down this fight for you guys. Or this card, I should say. Take no prisoners saying, but she's fighting Nina Nunes. Again, I think Nunes has gotten this weird perception that she's just not a good fighter. I think she's a solid fighter. And I think she's proved that in numerous fights now. Calvillo is probably the one that we've been overrating for a while, right? I love Calvillo. Well, I used to. Yeah, I mean, like, she cashed for me well against Jessica I. I cashed against her against Katlyn Chukagian. I lost a decent amount of money on her when I bet her against Andrea Lee. I think that Nunes could spoil the party here as well. Cope saying kids change so much. We'll see. This will be a fight to truly tell us. Take no prisoners saying she can't lose here. If she loses, she better retire. She might. And one thing that was also very interesting to me was thinking that Calvillo was younger. Like, I thought Calvillo was like 28 or 30 at most, and she's 34. I don't know why I always thought like she always had youth going for her, but not so much anymore. She's only a year and a half younger than Nina Nunes, so can't be using the age thing here either. Joshua saying, I think both Nunes are going to come back with wins here. Had enough time off since the kid, and training with her motivated wife should help. Interestingly enough, so I know like Amanda opened up her own gym, right? It's a private gym pretty much. And but Nina's been splitting time between that gym and ATT. She still trains at ATT. So that's interesting. Cope saying, perfect. Love it. Cope saying, just BS is the best. Yes, sir. John saying, seen a picture of Nina. She looks in great shape. Yeah, I agree. Joshua saying, Locke always shows love even to the little guys. My favorite dude in MMA, not only because of the breakdowns. I appreciate it. I think it's because I'm Canadian as well, right? Is that why it is? Cope saying, Nunes is a very solid fighter. I just worry about the kid taking so much time. There really isn't enough time off with the kid. Let's be real. It's true. Hopefully they have a good enough support system where they can do it properly. Fender Jazz saying the private gym thing scares me, even if it is run by the other Nunes. Yeah, but I do have confidence that she's been spending time at ATT, and we have proof that she's been spending at ATT and getting good time with other quality training partners. Joshua saying it's a sexy beard. The beard's looking a little bit rough right now. Got some scruff that I got to get up. Luckily, 11 o'clock tomorrow, I have an appointment with my barber, so he can take care of the beard, make me look sexy for the weekend tomorrow. Boob saying Nina got those post-pregnancy hormones, basically natural steroids. Bang. Hopefully that plays out in her getting the dub here. All right, let us move on to the next fight. We got 4 fights left. Next one is a heavyweight slop fest. We got Chase Sherman coming in at plus 170. Jared Vanderaa coming in at minus 200. I don't want to trust Jared Vanderaa at minus 200, but he should win this fight. He should go out there and touch up Chase Sherman. Maybe take him down if he wants to, but if he just stays mobile, stays on his combination, stays on his volume, he wins this fight. I mean, outside of getting knocked out in the first round, how does Chase Sherman win this fight? I don't see it. I really don't think it's going to cut it for Sherman in this fight. I think Vanderaa is good enough to replicate the Justin Tafa fight, right? Go up in numbers, put out there. My biggest qualm with him is his performance against Andrei Arlovski, because yeah, he loses split decision, which should have been, all unanimous, I think 29-28 to Arlovski, but he turns on the burners in round 3. That's not how you're going to win fights, my dude. I mean, like he got Arlovski into such bad positions in terms of walking him back in, behind the warning track, but he just would not let his hands go. Like, it's like he was just waiting for something to happen, and then by the time he was ready to throw, Andrei Arlovski had already thrown 1 strike or 2 strikes and blitzed and got back into the middle of the cage. But it was just over and over again. I plead for you guys, go back and watch that fight. If Vanderaa let his fucking hands go, probably would have won that fight. I'm not sure what he was scared of. Knockout power of Andrei Arlovski, maybe that's what he was scared of, but I don't know how much of that Andrei really has left. So that was a very frustrating fight for Vanderaa, a spot where I had him as a plus 170 dog, if I'm not mistaken. I got a pretty good number on him that night. He just did not pull the trigger. All he has to do here against Chase Sherman, pull the fucking trigger. Pull the trigger, stay busy, stay active, and you're going to win this fight. I think he actually takes this to a decision. I think he outpoints Chase Sherman over 15 minutes. I don't think he's going to have the submission dominance that people are expecting him to have. If I'm not mistaken, he's a black belt, but we very rarely see any of it in his MMA fights, right? The Justin Tafa fight didn't even shoot 1 fucking takedown. So Vanderaa by decision is currently sitting at plus 300. I don't mind that. I don't mind the over 1.5 here at minus 170 either. It's going to be a typical sloppy heavyweight fight. That's always in the middle of the card, in the middle of the main card for some goddamn reason. I don't think Vanderaa knocks him out. Vanderaa submission plus 700 slightly intriguing, but I think that narrative is being a little bit overblown here. I don't know if he's going to actively look to take this fight to the ground and try to employ that. More often than not, from all of the fights I've seen him be successful in, he just likes to stick and move with the striking and outpoint his opponent there. I will say this: his fight against, I think it was Richard Odoms. Yeah, Richard Odoms. Oh no, sorry, not Richard Odoms. Maybe Vernon Wells. I think it was the Vernon Wells fight where he clearly should have won that fight. I think the judges got that one absolutely wrong. All right, so I'm going Jared Vandera by decision. Cope saying, what is next UFC, Nevada or Cali you go to? I'll meet up and bring some fire. All right. Yeah, it's going to be a while. There is a slight possibility that I go to California in December, but it wouldn't be for a fight. So we'll see. Appreciate the invite, my friend. Can't believe we're believing in Jared. We are in terms of a prediction, but as a bet, pass. No need to bet this fight. Why are we betting this fight? Unless you like Sherman, you take the underdog money. Makes absolute sense there. But from a breakdown perspective, I don't see why we need to bet this fight. Leave it as is. Bet the overs, if anything, because that's possible. But trusting Jared Vandera at minus 200, I couldn't stomach that. Rips and picks saying Vandera sub plus 700. Not a bad play if you want to keep it light. Again, I just don't think he's going to go for the grappling as much as I think he will, or as most people think he will. Sorry. Take no prisoners says Sherman tires so fast. Like I see him having like the performance that he had against Parker Porter, which was another fight that I was at. That's how I see this fight playing out. You know, Vandera just edging him out in numbers in each round, takes home a decision victory. Gotham Knights and give me prep time. I'll fight Sherman. Savage. Cope saying if you come in December or not, I got a sick pad just north of Los Angeles, closer to the beach. Nice. You're welcome and family. Interesting. Maybe I'll hit you up. Me and the wife are still deciding. The only thing is like what's weather like in Los Angeles in December? Like there's obviously no snow or anything like that, but like is it still warm enough to go to the beach and enjoy yourself? Because that's kind of what I know the wife is going to want to do. I want to go to LA just to like go to LA, you know, take it in. I've been there once to watch Brock Lesnar against Cain Velasquez, but it was for my 19th birthday. Became legal in the country that I live in, but decided to go to a country that I'm not legal in for my birthday. But it was for a good event. Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar was some shit. Whole card was great. Got to meet Nick Diaz in the stands. But yeah, if you can still go to the beach and swim comfortably in December in LA, I think my wife will more than likely be sold on going to California instead. Boob says, pick who looks fatter at weigh-ins. It'll likely be Jared Vandera. John Valentine saying it has to be game planning on taking Sherman down as bad as his takedown defense is. It could be. See, I think that it's just a little bit of recency bias here on the Chase Sherman side as to why people think that Jared will look for that route, right? Because so he got outstruck in his first two losses in this 4-fight losing streak he's on. Outstruck by Arlovsky, outstruck by Parker Porter. Then Jake Collier clearly says in his post-fight press conference, he goes, I noticed that Chase Sherman throws lazy kicks. If he does throw one at me, I'm going to catch it. I'm going to take this motherfucker down. That's what he did. That's why he got the position that he did. That's why he got the rear naked choke the way that he did. Alexander Romanov. We know what Romanov does. He takes a motherfucker down. Either King Kong smashes them or looks for a finish by submission. He got an Americana that night. Jared Vandera, not that caliber or not that type, right? Again, he's a BJJ black belt. We just don't see him enforce it enough. Let me just see if like the stats legitimately back that up, because I remember specifically the Justin Toffa fight where he shot a total of 0 takedowns. So in the UFC, Jared Vandera has landed 0 takedowns. He has 100% takedown accuracy rate because he took Harry Hunsucker down on the Contender Series. But Sergey Spivak fight, 0 takedowns. Attempted. Justin Tafa fight, 0 takedowns attempted. Alexander Romanov fight, like he's going to wrestle against Romanov, 0 takedowns. Andrei Arlovsky, 0 takedowns attempted. Alexei Oleinik manages to find that fight on the ground somehow, some way, but he did not shoot a takedown that night. We'll see. Vandera is not Alexander Romanov. Vandera is not, shit on Jake Collier as much as you want. The guy's talented. He's just way fatter than he used to be. But Jake Collier is talented everywhere, in my opinion. Not a superstar, not a fucking top 5 guy, maybe not a top 10 guy or anything, but Jake Collier is talented. Let's see. Evan Crawl in the chat. Not sure if you got there, but I've seen early love on Gore. More terrified to bet that man than he is to be in a firefight, which won't be great for his volume. He'd lose the rest of the match over 15. I think Gore knocks him out, man. I think Gore has learned from his past mistakes, especially that last fight against Brian Battle, and I think he's going to let his volume go this time. For a guy that had as many, lofty goals for himself, even before his first UFC fight, talking about being double champ and stuff, he has the drive. It's just, he thought it was going to be easier. Like, he literally thought he would just go in there and whatever punch touches his opponent is going to knock him out. But now I think he's going to be smarter about it. I think he's going to throw more volume. And I don't even think we see this fight go over the 1.5 round mark. I think we see Gore knock out Cody Brundage pretty easily here. Fender Jazz saying you're in the background cheering for Porter, right? Love that guy. Yes, I was. If you guys go back and watch that, you'll see me in the background in a white shirt. Love cheering for him. I was definitely the loudest in the crowd for him that night. Even if you guys have on Fight Pass, obviously they show in between corners. I'm pretty sure in between corners you guys can hear me cheering for Porter. Cope saying there's never any snow in Yemen in November. It's still warm-ish. December. I'm talking like Christmas time. Can I go into the beach and not be cold? Tell me that. Josh saying, yes, you can always go to the beach in LA. All right. Josh, do you live there? That's the difference. I know my guy Copes lives there. Hawk saying raining season in December for LA. Ooh. Cope saying come peep and we can film content and podcast room. If my wife would let me go do that on our quote unquote honeymoon, we'll see. Maybe not swim. Yeah. See, I don't know about swim. Okay. Yeah. See, that's what will likely keep us out of there. Like, I know the wife would rather go to like Florida or something and actually be able to go into the water. All right. Nathan in the chat, appreciate you stopping by, my friend. He's saying Sherman and Vandera didn't do too bad versus Arlovsky. Vandera could have ended it if he gave too much respect. If he didn't give too much respect to Arlovsky. I agree. I absolutely agree. If Vandera pulled the fucking trigger, he would have won that fight. Joshua Frick saying shark season. Okay, yeah, we're not going to Cali in December then. John Valentine saying they need to run a heavyweight Grand Prix. Winner stays in the UFC. Losers go to PFL. I love it. Jared Vandera, Chase Sherman, Jake Collier. Fucking let's bring back Rocky Martinez. We can come up with 4 more guys. No, middling heavyweights. Josh Parisian, Alan Baudot. Fuck it, Augusto Sakai, and one more. Give me one more heavyweight that we can throw into this sloppy heavyweight Grand Prix. Harry Hunsucker's a 205er now. All of a sudden, I'm sure there's one that's going to come to me eventually. Hawk saying the Pacific is cold as fuck in December. Yeah, I'll pass that. Sherman did get worked a bit though. I'm not sure why Vandera didn't empty the tank on a few opportunities. I think he could have gotten the TKO. When you're baked and you fuck up your fight matchups in the live chat. Oh, what did you fuck up? I must have missed it. Josh Benedict saying Gore minus 110. That's a great line that you must have got on earlier this week. Evan Crawl, as always, my friend. Just saying nice to message him a few days ago. Really cool guy. Cope saying it just depends on weather pattern. She can chill with my woman. Cope saying, yeah, I can't hate. She's smart, but food here is fire. Yeah, I wanna enjoy LA properly. What I really wanted to do is like go to the comedy store on a random night. I'm a big comedy guy. I love watching fucking comedy shows, and Comedy Store even on a fucking Tuesday night is fire, right? Fight feels like a coin flip. I don't know, man. I think Vandura has all the tools. Chris Barnett, there we go. Chris Barnett would be a great addition to the heavyweight Grand Prix. Last heavyweight's Paulo Costa. That would be great as well. All right, let us move on to the next fight. We got 3 fights left. And the next one is Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Douglas Silva de Andrade, minus 320 on Nurmagomedov, plus 265 for Douglas Silva de Andrade. Now, Douglas has been good to me sometimes. Sometimes he's been bad. I mean, I cashed pretty big on him against Gaetano Perello. I know I've cashed on him even more in the past. Let me just quickly pull it up here. I feel like I may have lost on him. Oh, sorry, I did bet him and win against Marlon Vera. He was a plus 155 dog that night. I believe I bet on him against Henry Briones, minus 120 there. He's been good to me in certain spots, but then the last fight is the one where he kind of fucked me, but that's because I bet against him. I thought Sergey Morozov was the much better fighter. I thought Sergey Morozov, much better wrestler than he is striker, but he had some success striking in that fight, which is why he got it, let it get to his head, almost finished Douglas numerous times in that first round, and then eventually loses in the second round. It was the fight of the night that night as well. So Douglas comes back, wins by rear naked choke in the in the second round after clipping Sergey, putting him on wobbly legs, and then getting him out of there. Saeed, on the other hand, is coming off a starching of Cody Stamann. I did take a small shot on Cody Stamann there that night, and didn't get to see that fight play out enough. But Saeed coming off a back-to-back starching of his opponents, finishing both those guys in under 1 minute. And I think he could do the same thing here against Douglas Silva de Andrade. I think he's the faster guy. I think he's the more powerful of the guy. I think he's more versatile as well. And I think he has a good overall game to deal with what Douglas brings to the table, which is like a hard-nosed striking style, move forward, throw big shots. I call him the Walmart version of John Lineker pretty much. I think Saeed clips him early here. I think he's going to be too fast. I think he gets him out of there pretty quickly. And it seems like something that he wants to do quite often, right? He goes out there and he blitzes early. And if he feels like he has a speed advantage, he looks for the target, hits his opponent, and either club and subs them or just finishes them by punches. I think he finishes them pretty quick here. What are the round props? Nurmagomedov in round 1 is plus 225. I wouldn't mind a shot on that. I really wouldn't. I think Saeed is parlay material at minus 320. I think he has almost no problems with Douglas in this fight. I think he takes over pretty easy. So not too deep of a breakdown there. Not too deep of a breakdown needed, as I think this fight is pretty straightforward, especially with the odds being the way that they are. But yeah, I like Saeed by finish. Cope saying the Comedy Store is only 30 minutes away. Not bad. Does that mean it's actually like 10 minutes away, but traffic makes it 30 minutes away? Sometimes I love to have you on the show, Lock, been on Clint's show, Die Hard, and some others. Dude, hit me up. Hit me the fuck up. I've been seeing your name for years now. So I truly appreciate the love. Gotham Knight saying Andrade kill me against Morozov. Bombs are thrown. Yeah, man. I had a decent amount of Morozov that night. Really screwed the pooch that night. Cope Scott Nurmagomedov. Glad we're on the same page. Rips and Picks saying first round sub for Saeed is plus 550. He could get the club, or he could get the club and sub. I'm not entirely sure which one I'd be going with, but even inside round 1, plus 250 is a good enough price tag for me. Take No Prisoners says Andrade with a dog, lost a bet when he was fighting Morozov, and that's the last time I bet on Morozov. Yeah, I need a little bit more consistency from Morozov. Like his last one against Colleen Paiva, good performance. But he's a guy that I bet against Kali Taha with when he was the underdog against Taha. I didn't understand the line on Taha at all. and I was beating the drum for Sergey Morzov that whole week. But yeah, that Douglas fight was not a good one. Copes loves agreeing. I love it. You're a smart man. Traffic out here is terrible. That's all I ever hear, right? All the comedy podcasts I listen to, most of the guys are based in LA. All they talk about is horrible traffic. All right, let us move on to the co-main event. Highly talked about fight all week. Caio Borralho against Armen Petrosyan. Plus 195 on Petrosyan, minus 230 on Borralho. Very intriguing fight here. I see a lot of people going to bat very hard for Caio Borralho this week. Not to mention, considering that he was a minus 145 favorite earlier in the week, a ton of money coming in on him, pushing him over that minus 200 mark. And now he's settling between like minus 220 and minus 250 on certain spots. That is mad disrespect to my guy, Armen Petrosyan, who I think is a lot better than people are making him out to be. Sure, Kyle might have the jiu-jitsu advantage, maybe have the grappling advantage, but the defensive tendencies I see from Petrosyan are very promising because he does everything in his power to negate whatever grappling advantage his opponents have, even if that means getting taken down 3 times, still working your way back to your feet every single time, and then knocking out your opponent, because that's what Armen Petrosyan does. That's what he did against Gregory Rodriguez. Didn't knock him out, but got up every time he was taken down and went to war with Gregory Rodriguez, hurting him numerous times on the feet and winning that decision. Again, say what you want about the decision. Petrosyan did what was needed to be done that night, and he got his hand raised. We cashed an underdog ticket on him. Now, this might be another one of those greasy fights where he's going to have to deal with takedowns and getting controlled at times. But I can guarantee to you that he is not going to just roll over and let Caio just lay on top of him and just control some of these positions like Omar Gadziev did. Right? He wanted out of that fight, which is why it was a technical decision, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that Petrosyan has way more to offer than what Gadzhi did that night. And I think that's the reason why there's so much love for Borralho, is because he beat an undefeated Omar Gadzhi of that night. Maybe he got a lot of that hype from that, considering he beat an undefeated Russian. That's why people are loving him in this spot. But I get it. He's a good grappler. He's a decent striker, but I think that Petrosyan is still the better striker. Caio might have a slight speed advantage, so that could be in his favor. But I do think that Petrosyan will start with the legs, slow him down there, and then start to go up top and eventually find that knockout blow. Petrosyan is going to be tough to deal with a lot of guys, and we've seen time and time again on the regional scene for Petrosyan, him dealing with nothing but grapplers. And look at the level of opponents that he's facing on the regional scene, right? Before even making it to the UFC, fighting guys that were 8-0, knocks him out, 4-1. He did lose to a 7-3 guy where he got knocked out quickly, but when fights are extended or if he's dealing with any type of adversity, this guy battles back from it and eventually still ends up getting the win. He was he was a slight favorite in his Contender Series fight where he knocked out that 10-0 guy. And a good win against Gregory Rodriguez as a plus 130 dog. I'm going Petrosyan here. I think he keeps it standing. That's it. This line is a joke in my opinion. Like, I don't think I think the bookmakers were correct having it where they had when they opened it, minus 145, minus 150. That makes sense. But minus 230 is whack. Shout out to anybody that got in Borralho early. Anything better than minus 160, I respect it. But I think the lines start to get out of whack once you got to minus 170, minus 180. Juice Bar saying, "Oh, that was a great fight. Got to see it live. Craziest thing. I won a full free trip on Instagram just for posting a story. Hotel, flight, and tickets all paid for. Wow, sick, good shit." John Valentine saying, "No interest in Landra as hard as Douglas hits." That's not a bad look either. I didn't even think about looking that, honestly. I just looked at Saeed inside the distance. Under 2.5 is minus 140. Wow. That is not the number I expected it to be. Truly. I might have to, man. I'm gonna make a pretty hefty bet on that, actually. I can't believe that didn't come across. Shout out to my guy John Valentine for the suggestion here. I love the under there. Gunny saying you can bet the double KO/sub. Yes, you can do that as well. I don't mind that. Cope's Corner reminding you guys, hit that like and subscribe. I do this out of love. And obviously to make some money off of betting. That's the other reason I do this. I don't research this just to give you guys the information. I use this information and make money off of betting. But yes, I do love talking to you guys and breaking it down. It's weird. I never knew that I would fully settle into this. Like, I used to have a YouTube channel with my boy named Bones. MJ versus Bones is what we used to call it. And we used to talk about the NBA together. Then I would release stuff about the MMA world on it. But yeah, I used to have a YouTube page like 10 plus years ago where I just reviewed fights. I didn't break down any fights. I just reviewed them. I'd watched an event, hopped on YouTube, recorded a video, posted on YouTube. That's it. Then I used to write articles for a random website about betting when I slowly started getting into it. And then I eventually just found myself doing this. I've never really thought of myself as a great speaker. I'm sure that's why I'm not blowing up as some of the guys that are finally coming into the space who are a lot more eloquent than I am with their vocabulary. But I just find it easier to talk than type or write. I mean, my writing is probably worse than how I talk, but I just want to get my point across as best as possible. And the best way to do that is with my words while talking, my expression, the tone in which I'm saying it. That's where I feel like I'm able to get my shit across a lot easier. So truly appreciate all the love. Again, it's great to get over that. I'm at 5,300 subscribers, I think now. Past the 10K follower mark on Twitter as well. So shout out to everybody that's been supporting your boy on there as well. But yeah, let me just rip one for you guys as well. So Gunning likes a double chance on KO sub on Saeed. Again, I'm really liking the under 2.5 number now. Cope's Corner saying disrespect is real. I agree. Drew Sparrow saying, do you think Kyle needs to wrestle to win? I think so. Like, I know he has that Machida style of wrestling, or sorry, of striking, where he just like has that bladed stance where he likes to like, blitz in and out of his attacks. But I think at a certain point that Petrosian is going to get that timing down and just clip him with the big shot regardless. So I think for Kyle to have true success here, he's going to have to mix in the takedowns. Cope's Corner saying, I like Kyle, but man, it should be a pick 'em in my opinion. I agree. Well, I think Bahayo should be the slight favorite, but I think that Kyle will still end up winning. AJ saying Bahayo is plus 300 first round KO at bet 365. I don't see that as a viable way that he wins. Possible, but I'm not predicting that. Gunny likes the Petrosian dude. I like it as well. Gotham saying Bahayo is too green for me. He didn't impress me in Contender Series. It was a good performance against. I thought it was a good performance against Aaron Jeffries. Jeffries is a tough guy. Tough Canadian guy. It wasn't that bad. Gunny saying I don't know about the spot though. Plus 195. That's a fucking great line in my opinion. Take no prisoners saying Armin keeps getting up so effortlessly and not tiring at all. He has every chance to win this fight unless Kao takes him down and keeps him there. The thing is, I'd be worried about is if Kao actually submits him, but I've been impressed with what I've been seeing from Armin's defensive grappling. I'm thinking Petrosian by knockout. Copes likes the over, but I'm going Petrosian knockout. I'm not sure if that'll be over. What is it? 1.5 is the total. Could be over the 1.5. Maybe after Kao starts slowing down from fucking repeatedly grappling. You think Armin inside distance plus 600? I love it. Can you guys tell I'm starting to get tired? It's all good. Plus 350 for Petrosian by KO at plus 350. Sorry. Yeah, Petrosian by KO at plus 350. Inside distance of plus 330. I'm not sure where you're saying Petrosian or Armin inside the distance of plus 600, but I think that's a damn good line. Double chances plus 100. I almost bet better freestyle. Not bad. Jimmy the Drunk saying, I'm here for luck. Nice vocabulary. Yeah, no, you're not. You're definitely not. Yes, we are the same. John Gotti saying Rodriguez Doesn't have the same ground game as Karl. Rodriguez had the back of the Iron Turtle, and he got out easily. Touche. We'll see the difference between jiu-jitsu here, right? Apparently, Rodriguez is a very good jiu-jitsu player in his own right. T-Rex in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, my friend. Fender Jazz saying, dude, you're a great speaker, good voice for a great content. You're one of the best. I appreciate it. I'm always going to remain humble, though. I know there's always going to be people better than me out there, but just got to keep dropping the content. That's it. Shout out to the 70 live viewers, though, eh? On 2 a.m. Eastern time on a Thursday night. Y'all are the real MVPs. Appreciate you guys. Cope's Corner saying, shit, I only got 42 subscribers on my new platform, but I used to do MMA for money, show on iTunes, etc. But dude was strong arming me, so I brought it myself 6 months ago. Nothing better than having your own shit at the end of the day. Nothing better than that. I'm stoked for 10 live show stays the same. Armin decision or KO double chance, plus 240, not bad. That's not bad. I don't mind that. Then saying I like that too, but if you think he's going to finish, you might as well get even money on it. But I don't know if it's going to come by sub, right? Double chance of KO decision is better than double chance of KO sub, in my opinion, for Petrosian. Agree, slight fave for Kayo. I was being attacked. Clinton Locke are my faves. Sick. I hope you've been watching the Deadlock podcast then. Juan Lopez, I think the line is juice for Bohayo because Petrosian takedown defense is not great and Bohayo has good BJJ. Possible. Yes, but again, just the get-ups, man, of Petrosian. Fucking, it looks so good. Oh, Gunny was talking about Saeed. Yes, you're right about Saeed. Apologies. Mr. Always Prophet saying, you know that Justin Burlinson cat, everybody was hounding him big versus Johan Lainez. Everyone hypes him up, but he just lost like 3 weeks ago. Yep. I remember that. Johan was an underdog to Burlinson. Over only fits 1.5. Yep, I agree. No, the line is goon on him. I mean the opponent. My bad, I'm high. I thought this was Lucky Late Night. It is kind of Lucky Late Night. I'm turning this into a Lucky Late Night. MMA Fight Club in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, my friend. Saying one could argue this could be a pick 'em on the money line, similar amount of fights and experience, both from 2021 Dana White Contender Series as well. Good point. I do think that this should be closer to a pick 'em, but I would agree. I'm going to be generous. I think Bahayo should be a slight favorite. I meant Armin by sub at plus 600. Yeah, you guys were talking about the different ones. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Gunny. I thought you were I thought you and Armin, or sorry, AJ were talking about the same fight, but yeah, AJ's talking about Armin. Armin by KO or decision at plus 240 is a great line. Gotham Knight reminding you guys, hit that like button. Let's go. Jimmy the Drunk saying Calvio will retire after this sale. I'm glad to hear that you and me agree on Nina Nunes. AJ saying you and Clint should do a live UFC podcast show on Pub Source Radio. We have our own show called the Deadlock Podcast, where we do it once every other week on the Deadlock Podcast channel, and then we do a fighter check-in on my channel, a fighter stonks check-in on my channel for Prediction Strike. If you guys don't follow or have heard about Prediction Strike is pretty much a stock market for MMA. Sports, where you bet the fighter as a stock. Mr. Always Promising, I was going to go watch Propping You Up and saw you were live. Go watch Propping You Up after this. I still got to put the timestamps on it, but yeah, it was a very long show, 2.5 hour show. But like the last half hour was just us talking about other shit. Anyway, Jewish better saying I think is due to Kao being so dominant in the cage and Armin having a close scrap with Rodriguez his last performance. Obviously, Hobo is a tough test for anyone, though. I agree. Then he's saying if you ever answer one comment I type, then see another related afterwards, just skip it. I type a lot. Yes. All good. I appreciate the love, though, my friend. Juan Lopez saying, does Malarkey Johnson versus under 2.5 at minus 188 have any value? I'm not sure if it has value per se, but I think it's a good bet. Like, I got to look at the percentages and all that shit. I don't know if minus 188 is value, but I do think that bet ends up hitting. All right, let us get to the main event here. Then we can wrap this bitch up. Rafael dos Anjos, plus 180 going up against Rafael Fiziev at minus 120. Interesting fight here. Obviously, we've been seeing them matched up for this is the third straight time now, right? Well, not straight, because obviously Dos Anjos ended up fighting Renato Moicano a couple months ago as a short notice replacement. Dos Anjos obviously puts the work on him, beats him over 25 minutes. Skeptical in that last 5 minutes. Still ends up getting the dub. Another similar situation in his prior fight to that, where he fought Paul Felder on short notice. If you guys remember, Felder stepped in super short notice for Islam Makhachev. So Dos Anjos is okay with any of the short notice guys. But tomorrow he'll finally fight a guy that he's been preparing for a very long time. I'd say close to 8 months at this point in time. Rafael Fiziev, a stud of a fighter, a prospect and a half. Great striking, improving takedown defense, I guess you can say, improving overall MMA fighter, but his bread and butter clearly is striking. He's going to be the faster of the two. He's going to put some good punches on Dos Anjos here, but he's going to have to worry about a grapple-heavy game plan from Dos Anjos. If he can withstand that for at least 15 to 20 minutes, he should win this fight, unless he knocks out Dos Anjos early. I'm not 100% sure he'll knock out Dos Anjos, though. Dos Anjos still quite durable, in my opinion. I think Fiziev will touch him up for at least the first 3 rounds. But then I think that the pace of the wrestling and the overall MMA game is going to start to catch up with Fiziev. My only qualm with playing Fiziev at minus 210 here is we don't have enough hard data to support that he should be a minus 200 favorite against a veteran like Rafael dos Anjos. We're talking about a Dos Anjos who has almost 4 times the amount of experience in MMA that Rafael does. I get it, Rafael was a Muay Thai fighter, kickboxer, whatever, but he hasn't been doing MMA as long as Rafael dos Anjos has been doing it. But okay, let's look at this run, right? Obviously, he lost his UFC debut to Magomed Mustafayev. Quick loss there. It's okay. Beats Alex White. Meh. Beats Mark Diakese. Shuts down the calf kicking game of Mark Diakese. Beats him to the punch. Big win over Moicano. Nice left hook to get him out of there. The Bobby Green fight looks like he's starting to slow down later in that fight. And then the Brad Riddell finish, round 3 finish. Looks tremendous in that fight. But none of those guys are Dos Anjos level, right? You saw Dos Anjos beat Renato Moicano. I'm sure Dos Anjos has beaten Bobby Green at some point in his life. I bet if Dos Anjos fought Mark Diakese, Dos Anjos would have probably got the better of that fight. I bet if Dos Anjos fought Brad Riddell, he would get the better of Brad Riddell. Riddell's nothing special, as we're slowly starting to find out. He's a good striker, needs to strike in the pocket to have success. If he can't, he likely gets touched up from the outside or gets finished by a much taller guy in Jalen Turner. Bobby Green, we know he's been lackadaisical at times, but he was starting to come on in that 3rd round. Had that fight been a 5-round fight, Bobby Green probably ends up drowning him that night. That's what Dos Anjos needs to lean on. He needs to lean on the volume, the pressure, the non-stop moving forward. That's going to cause Rafael Fiziev to slow down. Fiziev never been in a 5-round fight before, so that is a very interesting aspect to take into this. Mind you guys, you know what I mean? 2 weeks ago, we saw Arman Tsarukyan minus 280 favorite. Everybody said he should have won that fight. He should be winning that fight. But we saw Gamera start to pull away because of his 5-round experience that he has. Fiziev doesn't have that. RDA does. So that's a very important factor of this fight. But the reason I lean to the Bobby Green fight and say that I'm still skeptical of Fiziev's gas tank if he has been worked, because the other 3-round fights that he's been to are half the amount of activity that he had to deal with against Bobby Green. So what I mean by that, Bobby Green lands 143 significant strikes. Now let's look at the other 3-round fights that Fiziev has been through. 55 strikes landed by Alex White, 68 strikes landed by Mark Diakese, and 59 strikes landed by Brad Riddell. So Bobby Green has almost doubled, maybe even tripled a couple of the past opponents that Fiziev has fought in terms of significant strikes. Dos Anjos, he'll get into the hundreds if he could. Yeah, I mean, even in a competitive, or actually not a super competitive fight against Leon Edwards, he still puts up 81 significant strikes. He put up 172 significant strikes against Robbie Lawler in a 5-round fight. Again, 2017 version of Robbie Lawler is what it is. That is enough for me to say that Fiziev will still likely win at least 15 to 20 minutes of this fight. RDA might take over later in this fight, but I don't think it's going to be enough to the point of finishing Fiziev. Sure, a live bet on Dos Anjos during the fight, maybe going into round 3, is a good spot. If you do it going into round 4, like you're expecting him to, if he hasn't already won round 3, if he lost round 3, you have to expect for him to go out there and get the finish rounds 4 or 5 if you live bet him going into round 4. At least with live betting him before round 3, there's an opportunity that he could win that round and potentially still go on to win a decision should Fiziev start slowing down. So if Fiziev was closer to minus 130, minus 140, I would likely take the shot on Fiziev. But I think the hype around him mixed in with, RDA is quote unquote getting old, right? He's 37. I think he turns 38 soon. I think all of that put together is why Fiziev is a minus 210 favorite. I still have question marks about what he does against former champions, guys that have legitimate 5-round experience. This is going to be his first true test. If he passes this fight with flying colors, and what I mean by that is not a first round quick finish. I need to see him go, let's get into the championship rounds. Let's deal with RDA style, beating convincingly enough, and win in either round 4, 5, or decision. That's what I need to see from Fiziev to be totally sold on him and to believe that he deserved to be a minus 210 favorite. I'm still picking him to win, but for me, this fight's a pass. I want nothing to do with this fight. I'd only look at the totals. Totals currently sit at over 4.5, minus 150. I see minus 170 at a couple places. But that's the only spot that I touch. Fiziev obviously could knock him out early. Fiziev by knockout is plus 225. That is absolutely on the table. But I see this fight going the full 25 minutes and Fiziev having to deal with a huge grappling onslaught from Dos Anjos. So give me Fiziev by decision. Juan Lopez says this main event should be a really fun fight. I agree. Should tell us a lot about both guys. Jewish Better likes Rafael here. I see what you did. Joshua Frick saying is Dos Anjos coming in with the mustache. Chin never seems as good without it. That's where I like. Remember when Kobe Covington was fighting Rafael Dos Anjos? He called him Rafael Dos Nachos. Like when he has the mustache, he is totally Rafael Dos Nachos, without a doubt. So I hope he comes in with the mustache. We'll find out tomorrow at the weigh-ins. Nathan saying Dos Anjos almost TKO'd his last opponent on 170. I feel Dos Anjos has the power. We have to remember that Moicano was coming in on short notice in that fight. Like literally took that fight on Tuesday of fight week, if I'm not mistaken. Jewish Better in all seriousness, Fiziev eventually going to clip the chin of Dos Anjos and put him out, or ref stops it. Interesting. Nathan says Dos Anjos could sleep Fiziev as well. I don't think that's the plan, but man, Dos Anjos has fought way better competition. Exactly. I get why Fiziev's the favorite, but he shouldn't be this big of a favorite. Juan Lopez saying not only is the money line for Fiziev too high, but the odds for him to win via decision are better than KO, and he's never won a 5-round decision. Does not look right to me. I get that. I absolutely get that. Gunny saying Fiziev said he had his first fight at 12. Yeah, the guy been fighting for a minute. I feel like Dos Anjos is being disrespected mostly because he's 37. I agree. Drew saying not that his last 2 opponents were super short notice one. Also, Moicano literally fought a few weeks before. Yep. Fanajah saying that defensive lean back matrix move is just one of Fiziev's beautiful Muay Thai techniques. Definitive step up here, and I think he passes the test. Couldn't have put it better myself, Fender. Marcus Williams, do you think the smaller octagon at the Apex favors RDA or Fiziev? Probably RDA, right? RDA is going to be the one that wants to actively grapple. He has less, space to cover to get this fight up against the cage, which is where he'll likely have the better of his grappling success, takedown success up there. So definitely favors RDA, I'd say. Juan Lopez says, I like the under 4.5. Interesting. I think we see this go 25. John Valentine saying RDA is getting so disrespected here and the line keeps on getting wider. RDA has a solid chin and underrated striking. Can he get him down early is the big question. Yes. Again, like if this continues to creep to maybe like plus 200, if we get, plus 200, I'm still a little bit skeptical about. Like I feel like I got to be way more sold on the underdog to even take a shot on him at plus 200. For me, this is a show me spot for both guys. Dos Anjos, whether he can still hang with these young guns that are on the up and up, or Fiziev, if he's ready for, steps up in competition. Boob said, is Hezbollah going to keep ducking Fiziev? Probably. Juice Better saying RDA is a trap in my opinion. 37 last two opponents made him look great, and his opponent's really good. Vegas giving you plus money on RDA side too. They're smart if they left at minus 150. Sharps would hammer. Could see it. Joshua Frick saying great stream lock. Appreciate how you do. Enjoy your concert and weekend. Appreciate it, my friend. Kappa Bet saying Dan Tom posted a good stat today. RDA 14-3 in fights where he got one takedown. Minimum one takedown. Not bad. It's a great stat. It will definitely be tested here. All right, let me wrap this bit up. Appreciate the love and support on this late night stream. You guys are honestly the best. I couldn't be happier with the set of fans that I have coming out even 2:30 at night. 2:30 in the morning, I should say, on the East Coast. Love you guys. I'll take this last comment and get out of here. Mr. Always Profit saying, why aren't you on the over here for a few units? For a few units, RDA has fought all different styles and hasn't been finished once in 10 plus years. Fiziev isn't a finisher, more of a technical sound striker. It's more so, how does Fiziev deal with the overall MMA pressure that he's going to have to face here, right? And not by MMA pressure, I mean striking mixed with level changes, takedowns, all that. And RDA is the best guy to put him up against it. If Fiziev gasses out trying to wrestle proactively, RDA could possibly, step on the gas rounds 4 and 5 and possibly get him out of there as well. All right. Love you guys. Honestly, I fuck with you guys so hard. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe below. Let me take this one last hit for you guys as well. That's pretty much going to be the nightcap for me. Love you guys. I'll throw timestamps on this in the morning in case anybody wants to go over it again. But I will be dropping my bets for you guys probably Saturday. You know what I mean? If you're on the Patreon, you guys are going to get them tonight. Otherwise, you'll have to wait till Saturday morning to get my official bets. Love you guys. Let's fucking go. Let's make some money this weekend. And I'll see you guys next week for UFC Long Island. Appreciate you. Peace.